Good evening. I'd like to call meeting of the Windsor Board of Education for Wednesday, October 16th, 2024 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Next to order business is recognitions and acknowledgements. And Dr. Hill, I don't know of any recognitions or acknowledgements for tonight. So the next order is audience to visitor. If Ms. Daly, you can read your script.
Good evening. This is Robin Daly from the Superintendent's Office. If anyone from the public would like to address the board, you may do so in two different ways. You may type your name, address, and comment into the Q&A feature in the Zoom application, or you may speak by clicking Raise Hand or dialing *9 within the Zoom app. When you are called on to speak, you will be given 3 minutes to state your name, address, and comment. Please do not place the call on speakerphone. No comments can be made against the employees of the school district or children outside of your own. No comments will be made by the board at this time.
Thank you. And for folks that are here at the 2.5-minute mark, Ms. Taylor will raise a red card, briefly saying to start winding up your remarks. And at the 3-minute mark, she'll hold it and keep it up, and we'll let you know to please finish up. For people who may be calling in and can't see Ms. Taylor, at the 3-minute mark, she will let you know that you have to finish your remarks. Mr. Lockhart, as secretary, I know you have a script to read as well.
Good evening. As Secretary of the Windsor Board of Education, I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and to our television viewers. The board, superintendent, and I are pleased that you have joined us as we celebrate achievement, review information, and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of Windsor Public Schools. This is a regular meeting, and all items that will be discussed or voted on this evening have been posted as required by state law. Our mission is to develop the genius in every child and create lifelong learners. As the Windsor Board of Education, we are here to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve problems of individuals. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. Meetings of the board are open to the public. It is the time when the board conducts its business of governing the school system in a public arena. The regular meetings are not meetings with the public. Therefore, comments from the audience will be confined to the time designated for public to address the board. Decorum and courtesy are important elements in effective public meetings. Please silence your cell phones or communication devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that proceedings be accurately recorded, the board chair may have to ask for order periodically should noise begin to interfere with our recording capabilities. I am pleased that you have taken the time this evening to join us. We are very proud of this school system and thank you for your interest in the Windsor Public Schools.
And just for folks to know, if you haven't participated in this before, it's a kind of a one-way conversation. As Secretary Lockhart mentioned, that the items on our agenda are listed and have to be listed in advance. And so we'll take your comments into consideration, but this is not an interactive back and forth process. So is there anyone in the boardroom who'd like to address the board tonight? Come up here. Yep. Sign in and...
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Wait, it's on the mic?
Should be if there's a green light. Yeah, you're on.
Oh, it's on?
Just-
Okay.
Yes, yeah, just
Just,
speak up the best you
okay.
can.
All right. Hi, my name is Andrew Bloom. I'm a junior at Windsor High School. I personally believe that Windsor High School is an amazing school that offers so much opportunity for students. I'm highly interested in the study of languages. However, I'm uninterested in the languages offered at the school currently. I always daydreamed of Windsor High School offering more languages than just Spanish or French. At home, I independently study Japanese and Tagalog. I feel as if other students may share similar thoughts as me. I feel as if a more diverse selection of languages were offered, kids would be more excited to walk into the building and would be more excited to learn. I'm aware that it is relatively rare to find teachers that are certified in other languages. But if there's any way a budget could be put together to find more language teachers, I think that would make Windsor High School an even greater school. Personally, some languages I think that would be cool to have offered are American Sign Language and Mandarin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the boardroom who'd like to address the board? Anyone online or on the phone?
There is an attendee, but there is no hand raised.
Without objection, close audience to visitor. Next item on is the consent agenda. And is there any item that anybody would like to have pulled? Yes.
4B, the enrollment report.
Okay. Mr. Halleck wants the enrollment report pulled. Any other report? Okay, looking for a motion.
David,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
I had 4D. I had some questions on 4D.
Okay, yep. So 4B and 4D. Anybody else? Okay, motion? Yeah.
I move the Board of Education approve consent agenda items for A, financial report, and 4C, food service report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Panos as the consent agenda 4A and 4C. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Do we know if Nathan voted?
Nathan?
If you're speaking, Nathan, you're on mute.
I'm going to call it as 700.
He did write in. Just enter in the chat aye.
Motion carries 800. Next motion?
Move the Board of Education approve consent 4B, enrollment report, and 4D, human resource.
Let's
He
do
said
one
we
at
do
a time. Yep.
4B, enrollment report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made to approve the enrollment report, which is 4B. Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Panos. Mr. Halleck, want to speak to this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I was looking at the enrollment numbers for our pre-K program, and I noticed that they are rather low compared to the end of last year. Right now, we have a total of 96 students. At the end of last year, we had 147. That's a decrease of 51 students. So I'm just wondering why that is.
Dr. Hill, probably Ms. Batchelder through.
Good evening. We were actually talking about this afternoon. We believe that due to the age requirement, I'm going to have Dr. Haiti explain this one.
All right, so because of the new kindergarten law, so a lot of our families that were they could have stayed in pre-K for another year, chose to do the waiver for kindergarten and push their kids over to kindergarten. So that is one factor with our number. Also, because of budgeting and because of us not knowing really the future of pre-K for next year, some of our classes, our students that are 3 years old, we did not accept as many 3 years olds this year because we gave priority to all our students with disabilities. So we don't have as many role models that we accept for pre-K as we used to because of our numbers. So these two factors played a role in why the numbers look the way they do.
Okay, I'm just curious, how many students we have on our, I don't want to call it, a wait list, but I know we had a lottery for I believe that was for a pre-K, correct?
Yes, so we have two different programs. So we have Smart Start, and there are some requirements in order to get into Smart Start. So it is a financial based, so you have to be financially, eligible. You have to be financially eligible to be part of our Smart Start classes. We also have our other half-day AM, PM, pre-K, and that is strictly for our students with disabilities or students who are language learners. So they take priority over everybody else in these classes.
Okay. So is there, I mean, any plan this year to try to increase the number even a little bit, or?
So honestly, to be completely honest, I think once we start the budgeting process, that is a conversation that we're going to have in terms of pre-K and the number of classes and the number of sections that we can sustain given the budget that we are looking at the time. And then we will see, depending on how many classes we can run, how many teachers we can hire, that will, again, we have to give priority to our students with special needs and students who are MLL. And then our Smart Start, again, that is a grant. So given that we will be given that same grant again, that is a decision that we're going to have to make at that time.
Okay. And I also want to add, because we currently are down a special ed pre-K teacher, even though these numbers are what you see, we actually are not filling a classroom with a teacher. So it is similar to last year if you're going by classroom numbers, because we're unable to fill a position since the start of the school year.
Yep. I just want to make sure that we're able to take as many kids, as many pre-K students as we can, because I know there are parents out there who are paying right now for pre-K services in our community, so that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on 4B?
4D.
Okay, so motion's been made to approve 4B, the enrollment report, and there's been a second, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention. Nathan, if you're able to, either vote. Okay, thank you. Motion carries 800. Another motion, Ms. Taylor.
I move the Board of Education approves consent agenda item 4D, Human Resources Report.
Is there a second? Second. Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Panos, and Ms. Cantor.
Thank you. I have a question, actually two questions. I see that looks like there's a large turnover, high number of special education teachers who left. It looks like there are 5 that were either resigned or separations or retirements. That's a high, to me, I think that's a high number. Is there some reason that's going on?
So these, I just want to make sure everyone is aware. So when we do our initial hiring report in September, then the October one is for September 1 through September 30th. So September 1 is still, we already knew of some of these resignations and just have not filled them. So there is always a trickle down effect on these 2 months.
So, yeah, so you have 4 new hires, but you have 5 who have left. And then also, there's a nurse who resigned at Sage Park Middle School. How many, did you fill that position? How many, did you hire 2 full-time nurses for that school?
We're in the process of that, yes.
So you don't have nurses there now?
Yes, we do.
How many full-time nurses do you have under the contractual obligations that are by and between this nurses union and Windsor Public Schools? How many full-time hires do you have for nurses?
We have the same full-time hires that we have had minus
But how many?
one.
How many's the number?
We have 9. With
9?
7
You don't have
schools-
10,
With
so you're-
6 schools.
So you're not meeting the contractual obligations?
No, we are.
No,
We absolutely are.
because the contractual obligations have a higher number in them, in the
don't.
contract, from what I read. So who do you have at Sage Park Middle School then? Now, do you have a do you call in
Am I
temporaries?
supposed to talk personnel right now?
So, okay. So did you don't, so you don't have a full-time nurse now at the school? I'm just wondering, okay, when you say the school is covered, I don't know what that means. So do you have a temporary service that you called in to have a full-time nurse there?
So we have our nursing supervisor that does not belong to an actual school.
Okay,
So that is one option. We also have nursing subs that we pay, and then we also have nursing services to obtain subs when need be. So at no point in time are we down nurses.
okay. I just wanted to make sure they're staffed because there have been times when, well, I don't want to get into it now, but look, this is for a later discussion then. Thank you.
Anybody else on 4D? Let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor of the Human Resources Report, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention? Wait for Ms. Daly to check on Nathan. I didn't hear from Nathan. We're going to leave it at 700. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from September 17th, 2024, the regular meeting. Is there a motion?
Move the Board of Education approve the minutes of September 17th, 2024, 7 p.m. regular meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lockhart, seconded by Mr. Panos to approve the meeting. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention? Motion carries 700.
Mr. President, may I raise a point of order?
Yes.
On the previous vote for the approval of 4D, Mr. Wollaston stated that he voted aye in the text, in the chat. Okay.
Did he vote on 4D?
Thanks. Mr. Wollaston, can you go on, unmute yourself and can you hear us, sir? It's obviously he's trying to talk because the yellow barrier is going up, but we don't hear him. Are we able to resolve that, Mr. Chairman?
There's something wrong with the system.
It should pick up the audio on his end, and if we can't.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item of business is the student representative report.
All right, so, everyone hear me?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My first item on the agenda is the memorial for Elijah J. Rivera. So, on October 9th, a heartfelt memorial was held for Eli Rivera, marking the first anniversary of his passing. Family, friends, and the WHS community gathered at the football field for a candlelight vigil to celebrate his life. In his memory, Windsor Public Schools announced the launch of EKGs for Eli. The campaign, with the support of Eli's family, aims to raise awareness to prevent sudden cardiac arrest among student athletes. The high school will host a free heart screening for student athletes aged 8 to 18 on November 19th at the school. This event is in partnership with In a Heartbeat and seeks to promote the health and safety of our young athletes. We encourage all eligible students to participate and take this important step towards ensuring their heart health. My second item is Hispanic Heritage Month. Windsor High School recently celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month by honoring the rich cultural legacies of Hispanic and Latinx communities. Each day, our Dub Hub featured influential figures to acknowledge their contributions and achievements. Third, the open house. Windsor High School's open house was held on September 26th. Parents and guardians had the chance to meet their children's teachers and discuss the curriculum, classroom expectations, grading policies, and ways to support their students at home. Parent conferences are scheduled for tomorrow, October 17th, from 6 to 8 p.m. for the high school. We encourage parents to take this opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with their students' teachers. This conversation can give you important insights on your child's progress, strengths, and areas where they might need help. Fourth, the JROTC trip to Cape Cod. The Windsor High School JROTC took 45 cadets to Joint Base Cape Cod for an outdoor training program. The Corps began their first day with an early morning physical training with the North Quincy AF JROTC, followed by competitive obstacle races and a leadership response course that emphasized teamwork. Cadets also participated in marksmanship virtual simulation, learning about artillery with prop M4 air guns, and strategizing virtual battle scenarios. They attended color guard and drill team workshops to improve their marching and presentation skills. The trip's highlight was cadets rappelling down a 65-foot tower guided by professional instructors. The experience helped many conquer their fears. Overall, the trip encouraged personal growth and teamwork. Participants created lasting memories and built confidence and friendships. Fifth, the College and Career Fair. On October 8th, the Counseling Office held its annual College and Career Fair. The event attracted over 100 representatives from colleges, different military branches, and the Windsor Public Library to the school gym and cafeteria. Many students and their families attended, demonstrating interest in exploring various post-secondary paths, including four-year colleges, vocational training, and military service. They had the opportunity to interact with representatives who provided helpful information about programs and career opportunities. The fair also offered essential resources to support proactive career planning for everyone grades 9 to 12. The art department has also organized a series of college visits for students interested in pursuing degrees in the arts, running from October 7th to November 12th. Participating institutions include the Savannah College of Art and Design, Maine College of Art and Design, University of Harvard School of Art, the School of the Museum of Fine Arts at Tufts University, and the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. Students are encouraged to present their portfolios and receive personalized feedback from college representatives, with the exciting possibility that some portfolios may be accepted on the spot. Sixth, the aquaponics farm. The former snake room in the science department at the high school has been transformed into an innovative aquaponics lab. Thanks to the initiative of Mr. Oblon and a generous grant from the Windsor Education Foundation, this new facility will enable AP environmental science students to engage in hands-on learning through an aquaponics system, where they will grow plants and raise fish simultaneously. This practical application of sustainable practices not only enhances students' understanding of ecosystems, but also establishes the foundation for a new course on sustainable agriculture. Seventh, the Book Bingo. The Windsor High School Library is proud to announce the launch of Book Bingo, an exciting new activity to encourage reading among high school students. Participants who complete a row of 5 tiles on their bingo board will win a prize, while those who complete an entire board will receive an even larger reward. Book Bingo encourages readers to explore a variety of genres and themes, promoting a wider appreciation for different kinds of literature. More than 50 cards have already been distributed to students, and there's still more available in the library. Book Bingo will continue throughout the first semester or until prizes run out. Eighth, the athletics department. The Warriors are having an impressive fall sports season. The Warriors football team is undefeated, and I believe they are ranked 7th in the state. Their latest victory against South Windsor showcased their strong offensive synergy and solid defense, resulting in a decisive 35-0 to face Maloney this Friday at Falcon Field in Meriden. Congratulations to Coach Fleeting for being named the New York Giants Lubertino High School Football Coach of the Week. Moving on to the girls volleyball team, they celebrated their second win of the season on October 8th, triumphing over New Britain with an impressive score of 3-0. While the season has presented its challenges, the girls have consistently shown their resilience and determination on the court. 9th, the annual Chili Challenge. Last Saturday, 9 students from the Culinary Arts 2 class participated in the 28th annual Chili Challenge held on the town green. They crafted a delicious barbecue chili infused with unique Jamaican flavors, combining traditional elements with a creative twist. Congratulations to Miss Toronto for inspiring our young chefs and encouraging their culinary talents. While they may not have won the top prize, the joy of sharing their love for cooking with the community is what matters most. I saw a lot of people did try their chili, so. 10th, the blood drive. So Windsor Warrior Productions organized its first blood drive this morning. The event successfully reached its goal with over 50 donors, including teachers, staff, and students from the community. The project is now being managed by Mr. Gooden following Mr. Chris's retirement. Students who donated also earned community service hours. 11th, homecoming activities. Homecoming preparations are in full swing as we excitedly count down to the dance on October 26th, Saturday, from 6 to 10 p.m. This year's theme is Fright Night. In addition to celebrating our school spirit, homecoming will also serve as a fundraising event. Class committees are selling food and refreshments at the venue. Spirit Week will take place on October 21st through the 25th. We encourage all students to join in the fun by dressing up according to each day's unique theme. The festivities will culminate on a pep rally on the 25th. And last but not least, the Warrior Wake Up Coffee. So the Warrior Wake Up Coffee Shop is now open. Run by the Special Education Department, the school-based coffee shop offers staff coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and freshly baked goods, and provides students with essential life skills. They learn to manage money, make change, and interact with customers, which are valuable skills for their future. As a non-profit venture, all proceeds will support the shop's operations. Starting on October 15th, the coffee shop will be open every day from 7:50 to 8:45 a.m. Thanks to the community's continuous support, students are now also making handmade shirts and mugs, with designs currently in the works. If you're visiting the school, we invite you to stop by for a cup of coffee or a slice of freshly baked bread at the Warrior Wake Up Coffee Shop. Your support means a lot. That's all for this month. Thank you.
That's all. That's a lot. It's a tough act to follow. Any questions or comments from board members? Ms. Taylor?
I don't recall you sharing with us what your major will be in college, but you could do broadcast journalism. Just saying, that was concise, well done. I crossed off all the things that I now can't say in my report, but that's okay because you did better than I could do. So thank you very, very much. The girls volleyball team did win tonight against Weaver, 4th win. Yay, rah, rah, go volleyball. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I know you must have been tasting the chili, but I also thank you for your community service work with the Leos through the Lions Club. I know our robotics group joined you in making sure tents were set up, that vendors were able to be fed during their time as well. But thank you for doing that and being there. I also enjoyed the Windsor High School chili, as did my family. It was kind of on the mild side. It was beef. And I gave it the People's Choice Award, but didn't win. And as we've said before, you're welcome to stay for the rest of it or part of it, but we know as a student, you may have other obligations. But thank you so much for your report and being so thorough with all the activities. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Ed report, first with the President's report. And I'm looking at Mr. Lockhart here because this was my report is mainly about CABE, and we have the president of CABE happen to be here. There's several awards that were won by the Board of Education. We received the CABE Board of Distinction Award. The board has been invited to also take a picture at the CABE Convention with the Commissioner of the State Department of Education. And we've won this award for several years in a row now. So we don't get new plaques, but we get new little nameplates to put on the plaques. Also, another award that was won by the district was the Bonnie B. Carney Award of Excellence in Educational Communications. This year was for the Windsor Public School Staff Wellness Newsletter. And thanks to the staff, the wellness staff for their work to be able to get those kudos. Today I attended a CABE workshop on a variety of legal issues, and I asked that they send me the PowerPoints and I'll share it with both the district and all board members, because there's a number of new things going on. I know we'll eventually be looking at the policy committee, as we do usually for any laws that have taken effect as of October 1st, because our policies may need to reflect those. But there's new laws on bullying and certain definitions, some that don't go into effect till the end of the year, till July 1st, but others that we could in fact utilize and potentially pass ahead of time. But I do want to make sure folks have that opportunity to see those. And it was an interesting workshop in that probably about a third of the folks there were Board of Ed members, but there were superintendents, there was a number of HR staff people from certain districts. And it's strange to go to a workshop that Mr. Lockhart's not part of. He seems, but I think he probably had other things, crack council meeting, yes. I was wondering how you're going to be in two places at once. I guess that answers that. Congratulations to Ms. Taylor, who's earned CABE certificated Board of Ed member designation. Thank you for all you do. Ms. Taylor and I will also represent the Windsor Board at the Delegate Assembly in November. That's the day before the regular convention in November. I heard feedback from several people who've attended the Citizens Academy, and the great job Dr. Haiti did in representing the district and showing off our buildings and the like. And people really, several people said they were blown away. That's their comment by what's going on in our district. So thank you to you. And it's been a point of emphasis that year after year, we impressed what's the citizens of Windsor when they are able to see and hear about what goes on in Windsor Public Schools. So thank you, Dr. Hill and Dr. Haiti for continuing to do that and highlighting good things that are going on in our schools. Any questions on the President's report? Seeing and hearing none. The next item is 7B, Pequannock Elementary School roof replacement. And is there a motion?
There is. I move that a project for the roof replacement at the Pequannock Elementary School be approved by the Board of Education, as well as the educational specifications for such project. Further, that completion of this project and authorization for the code compliance grant be implemented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Panos, and we'll have a discussion. Dr. Hill, I don't know, designate your... Ms. Batchel.
My new title. So we are now on to Pequannock roof. Pequannock's roof is over 25 years old, and we've been having a lot of issues over the recent years. So now that it's over 25 years, we can get the state reimbursement. So the state has a lot of hoops to jump when it comes to reimbursement and applying for the grant. So this is one step. I'll be back in front of you a couple times. Town council is also doing a few motions for bonding in order for me to submit to the state to get reimbursement so we can start the project. The plan is for the project to hopefully begin this summer.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing and hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
We took a motion.
Yes, there was a motion. There was a motion. You seconded.
I did say.
Let's start again. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Motion carries 800. Item 7C deals with the approval process for UConn's ECE. I don't think we have a motion, but I know Mr. Payne. Is there a motion first?
Yeah, it's the first reading. No, not yet. No, there's no motion, it's discussion.
The question was raised by Mr. Panos
I forgot all about his.
added to the agenda for tonight, and so, Mr. Panos, I'd like to have you start the discussion.
All right, when we approve the program of studies, we'll be doing this again later. Last year, we had a course called American Studies that required us to approve it without receiving much detail about it or being able to find any. And so, I found it strange, but so I think that I thought I would look at the program of studies, and what I found was that there are, in fact, AP courses that run along with ECE courses, especially in science. So you know exactly what the information is. You can find there are certain even UConn courses that are clearly there, and so you can find them. But this one appeared, for some reason, we couldn't find it. It required a year in order to write it. So I was unfamiliar with this sort of thing. It's the first time I encountered this. The same thing with the engineering courses and the manufacturing courses from CCSU. Those are, well-defined, and there was never any issue of someone needing a year in order to define it. But this one required some sort of process. So, I put together a number of questions on the subject here, and I sent them in, and I'm wondering if they had enough time to answer them. And at the end, I think that, I just like to know the opinion of the board at the end as whether or not we should continue this if there is another course like this. How many and what kind of courses do you expect to be able to go through this same one-year process? That I'm probably getting ahead, but I'm trying to summarize what it is. Usually, we don't have this problem. I mean, almost always we don't have this problem. But anyway, can you address some of this, Dr. Hattie?
Yes. All right. So I just want to say, I think I tried to address kind of the same question multiple times. So, which I think we really don't, ECE courses are dictated by UConn. So we have to follow UConn's timeline, UConn processes, UConn approval process and everything. So tonight I have Bonnie Feynman here to try to maybe explain it in a different way. But hopefully she will be able to answer all your questions.
Sure. I was able to address all the questions. Before we start, I just brought, this would be helpful. These are just the UConn ECE brochures that they give out for the public.
Thank you.
And I'll give you extras for members who are not present tonight. I'm not going to go over the brochure. You can take a peek. Instead, I'll focus on the questions that I received, Mr. Panis's questions that came to me through Dr. Haiti. It's fine with the board. I'll go ahead and answer all of the questions that I received and then take questions or feedback at the end if that's best.
I think that makes sense. To do
Okay.
it that way.
I just want to redefine for the public too what ECE courses are. So ECE courses are early college experience courses. What that means for us with our UConn articulation, and I say our UConn articulation because we do have relationships with other universities that you mentioned, Central being one of them, and the Connecticut State Community Colleges. We have a relationship with them as well. But UConn's early college experience courses are taught by our teachers. So students don't go to campus. Our teachers are approved through UConn by a review of their credentials. UConn, for example, requires that teachers that teach these courses have bachelor's and master's degrees in their subject area. So a teacher who has, let's say, a master's degree in curriculum and instruction cannot teach, let's say, an American Studies course because they don't have a master's in history or a master's in English, since those are the two subjects that are required for the course. So it's a course taught by our teachers on our campus at our school, that the course is articulated with a course offered at UConn. So we don't just make up a course. They have courses that they have designated as ECE courses that they will allow schools to teach after that credentialing process. And our teachers instruct the students. So there are other types of early college experiences, not this one, where students go to campus. That's not the case for this one. So again, our teachers are credentialed, they're checked for their credentials. They have to go through a training process. And I'll continue to describe it more, but that's what early college experiences. And what happens is students get an actual UConn transcript. So they get credit that they are issued a official UConn transcript for any of the courses that they have, successfully completed. And that transcript, those credits are transferable to many, many, many universities. So they're actually more widely transferable than AP credits. So the students get an actual UConn transcript. But I'll go ahead and answer the questions that I was asked. The first was a question about the process by which UConn approves an ECE course. So UConn has a catalog that they update every year with courses that their departments and professors have agreed to articulate with high schools across the state. So we get a catalog. That catalog is updated. I've just met with the director there. There will be a new catalog coming out soon, but after our process that we're doing with our program, so that won't apply this year. Once we get the catalog, I meet with that director at UConn along with any applicable staff. So it could be department supervisors like Dr. Martinez, Mrs. Maines, and we meet and we discuss the different options that they have. Usually what happens is the director there will let us know, he'll say, I've looked at your program of studies. These courses look like ones that would be good to offer because you're already offering similar courses, and this would be sort of like a higher level version of those. Or he will let us know courses that are working really well in other high schools that where we have personnel that he knows have the correct credentials to teach those courses, and will make recommendations to us. It doesn't mean we take those recommendations, but oftentimes he'll give us some suggestions. If we decide to pursue a course through them, through this articulation, our staff members who would teach that course, or staff members, must complete the application to have their college transcripts and, again, their credentials checked to make sure that they meet UConn's requirements, which, again, for UConn means that the teacher must have a master's degree in the subject area that they will be teaching. That is not the case for some of the other schools that we have dual enrollment relationships with. At that point, we wait, and then UConn lets us know if that teacher was approved. As long as they have the master's and the coursework that's been completed successfully, they usually do. Then we find out if they are approved. They then attend 2 trainings at UConn where they are, like professional learning sessions with the university and get a chance to meet the professors in the respective departments with whom they'll be partnering, because they have to have a professor in that department that will be approving their syllabus, and that's the next step. So after the training, the teachers have been at that point informed of the skills that the professors expect to be integrated into the courses, not the content necessarily, but the skills. The teachers create a syllabus, and that syllabus then goes to UConn for review and possible approval through the department with which we're articulating the course. So in the case of, I'll say, you mentioned it, and we'll talk more about it in a minute. The case of the American Studies course, that course went to the American Studies department at UConn with the professor who was designated as sort of the partner to our teachers, and our syllabus was accepted. Sometimes they'll tell us that they need a revision to the syllabus. It happens occasionally. We would go back, revise, and submit for approval, and that's the process. There are no set number of courses. That was part of it. Is there a maximum or a set number of ECE courses that we can run? The answer to that is no. I'm not going to speak necessarily for Dr. Haiti, but I think we try to run a good number of them to give our students as much access to college credit as possible, and to allow for some new and exciting courses that we might not necessarily have been able to offer otherwise. Some of those we'll talk about during the program of studies tonight. The second question was, are there any conflicts between taking AP courses and ECE courses? Nope. The answer is no. Never had a conflict. The thing I've already mentioned is that, so we have students that take both of those. Some students take AP and ECE, some take just AP, some take just ECE. The transferability of the credits is really the big piece, because the UConn courses are more transferable than AP courses, because not all colleges are required to accept AP credit, whereas, or sometimes they'll only accept a 5, or sometimes only a 4, or a 3, 4, 5. It's more variable. UConn is a very obviously reputable university, and so the UConn credits transfer pretty much. I've not heard of any students coming back and saying they had trouble transferring those credits. The next question was, are there AP courses that are not offered in order to offer similar ECE courses? No, I've not been able to identify any. Are some ECE courses also AP courses? Yes, sometimes. So we have to check those courses for which materials, and content, and scope and sequence, et cetera, are required. Sometimes the AP course and the ECE course have very similar expectations, and we can run those courses together. It's pretty rare. We don't do that very often. For example, we offer AP chemistry and ECE chemistry. They don't run at the same time. It's the same teacher, but 2 different class periods, because the courses are different and have different requirements and expectations. But yes, on occasion, we do have ECE and AP courses that can be run together, but we're not really doing much of that at this point. We have done it in the past, but mostly we can run the same. Again, we can run an AP bio and an ECE bio, or an AP chem and an ECE chem, but it's not necessarily running at the same exact time during the day. The next question was, how many ECE courses that we offer at the high school are the same as courses that are offered at UConn? I think I've already explained that. We only offer courses that UConn offers and agrees to articulate with our school. How many of the present ECE courses need to be written or have the curriculum and syllabus made up before they're approved? None, because we can't have them approved by UConn until the teachers submit the syllabi. So we can't approve, UConn does not fully approve the course unless that process that I explained is complete, including the teacher or teachers presenting the syllabus or syllabi to their partner professor at UConn, who then has to approve it, that it would be at the same level of rigor and match, let's say, with a course at UConn. The last one, I'm not, if I don't answer this well, then let me know. I'll try to clarify. The question's about if an ECE course is running at UConn, I think what is meant here is like if we're articulating a course with UConn, because it doesn't run at UConn, but if we're articulating a course with UConn and it is proposed to be adopted at the high school, why isn't its description available in the UConn catalog? I was able to find most of the descriptions in the catalog, except that they're going to usually be really short. So when you look at like a course catalog for a college, generally you're going to get a course number, a section number, the title of the course, and maybe a 1 to 2 sentence description. That's just typical of how colleges do it. They don't do it the same way that we do. The ECE courses, when we give you the descriptions in the program of studies, what we're doing is taking a description that ECE UConn has given us, and we will either adopt it exactly as is, or we'll add to it if we are anticipating any additions or differences in the course. So we are using theirs, but they're very, very short. And in some cases, there are none. So it just depends on, it's minimalist. Their catalog is minimalist. That's just what we're given. So those were the first questions. I'm assuming we'll stop there before I go to the American Studies part, just about the process of the course adoption at UConn.
Mr. Panos, I'll look to you again.
Okay.
To start.
Right. I guess, you know, it answers a lot of questions, but not exactly what I need, which is, you know, a description of the course. I mean, it seems to me that it's something with some detail about what was going to be covered here was needed. Instead, you know, just say American Studies, they're going to combine some literature with some history, all right? But what is it? And we finally got it. So why couldn't something, why could not a summary, or approximately that summary that we got, have been given it to us last year?
It's in the program of studies.
So we did.
Yes, it is. It's in the program of studies after, well, not when it was brought up.
No, there
for
was,
approval.
so there was a description in the program of study when it was brought up, because that's our process. So in October, just like now, last year, we had it in our program of study with the short description that we have access to, which is similar to what UConn has on their catalog. So that was in the program of study, and that was how all of you voted and approved it. Shortly after, there was a request for a syllabus, which at the time we did not have yet, because we did not have the process completed of a teacher being approved by UConn. But I provided a sample of other school districts that run the same exact course and what their syllabus looks like. That was provided as a sample. And then in the summer, once our course was completed and our syllabus was approved, that was when at the beginning of this year, when I provided the actual syllabus. So there was a description provided back in October last year, and that based on that description, that's how it was put on the program of study.
I'm happy to read. I have it here if the board would like to hear the description of the course. I have the description that we presented.
Sure, you could read that.
So it says ECE American Studies. American Studies provides students the opportunity to explore what it means to be American as both a historian and a literary scholar. Throughout this course, students will investigate concepts such as the American identity, democratic ideals, the tensions between the individual and American society, diverse perspectives on the American dream and active citizenship. Through the marriage of historical documents and literature, students will develop a deeper understanding of and appreciation for those people, events, institutions, and turning points that have shaped American history and that continue to influence the nation and students' lives today. Students will come to understand the American experience in a way that respects and acknowledges the various cultural perspectives as they examine fiction, visuals, political movements, literature, film, and historical texts.
Well, it wasn't, let's see, you're saying this was what was provided to us last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a lot, you know, what I was looking for was, you know, what particular, like that agenda that you, and the syllabus, and so give us some idea what you were going to do. I mean, there's a good description here in general terms, but, you know, I couldn't get my hands, you know, around it with just that. You know, if someone gives flowery language.
If I could just interject quickly, Mr. Panos. I'm trying to think now for the future, as we go forward. If you mentioned that other schools had utilized this, it might be helpful to have, not that we were going to take their syllabus, but this is what Simsbury is doing, or this is what, Avon is doing, or this is what Waterbury is doing, to have a little bit more flavor. Doesn't mean we're going to follow that, but that could give us
I think
in the future a little more.
I believe,
So we've never done that for any other course. So is that how the board is trying to proceed now? Is it really about the process, or is it about a particular class? What is the real discussion? Because that's why this is a discussion, because it's already been approved, but there's been some consternation. So what's the discussion? Because we don't go look at other districts.
I think it really has to do with just the general, this class in particular has brought this up, but I think the issue is, what is the process, and is there a way to potentially get more information to the board when we approve classes that aren't even completely set yet with the way ECE works? And we understand the process of ECE, which is different than the approval of a class that just may be a Windsor class that Windsor wants to offer.
So
but this is not the first class that a new class that we've had for ECE over these years, not even a long time. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to clarify for my staff, this is a focus to me on one class. It's really not about the process. I just want to be transparent and honest, because we've had classes, as this board is seated, put up, and it was no concern, because there was no concern about the class. So it's not really about the process, and I don't want the public to think it's about the process. Are we now gauging what's taught? What classes do we, as board members, like or not like? We just need to have an honest conversation, because it's really not about the process, because the process has not changed for decades.
Well, I did not understand what was going to be done with this.
You didn't understand what was going to be taught in the class, or how the class was going to be taught?
Well, if you tell me, I don't know, you're going to do something, specific history, let's say black history. Okay, I have an understanding of what that is. Now, when we took it up, in fact, when we first took it up, which was like 10 or 12 years ago, we had a black history course. And so we had that described. And again, when it came back by the state, and we had two of them, we got rid of the older one, we had a detailed description. So you could see what was in it. So that's a good example of the way it should be done, so that the board understands what's in it, even though that's a simpler thing to say, I have here an American Studies. Well, what does it mean? Well, it means things to different people. So, what you may say, well, I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna talk it up. It may not be something that I think is relevant. And so that's that's part of that's part of the process of approval. And, if you took, and there's in the old days, they used to say underwater basket weaving or something like this, or it's common on college campuses to have courses that are not considered of much value in general, maybe even though they're college courses. I don't want to go on it. They used to call them gut courses.
But I would argue, Mr. Panos, I agree to an extent. However, this is, again, early college experience. As Ms. Feynman has handed out the brochure, which you guys can quickly peruse and see, I didn't even know this piece, that UConn is actually the first adopter of these, 1955, which, so I can teach everybody a history lesson, is only 4 years after AP was created. So I was impressed. So, but I'm just still wondering, it's not the board's purview to decide whether or not a course is of value. It's a college course. If the board doesn't want to accept the course, then that's what you would vote on. We're not accepting the course.
Right.
But I think you're injecting your own personal opinions when you start saying, is this course of value?
Well, you're injecting your opinion too here. So
no, I'm not.
I have a right to an opinion as a board member.
I'm not engaged. I'm giving you what's the process, the rules. I have not lied. I have not made something up. I'm not injecting my opinion. I'm clearly stating, because we're speaking to each other and in front of the public, we adopt ECE courses all the time. Now, because you like or don't like a course, you vote when they vote. That's not the relevance of it, because the course has to be something that's approved so that a student can graduate per the State Department of Education standards from our high school. This course does not violate that objective. So then it comes down to, is it an opinion? I'm just asking. I'm not judging at this point, because it's not about it doesn't have value. It's a UConn course. It's our state flagship university. No one sitting on this dais can question that. It's the state flagship university. It earns credits at the state flagship university. It's an accredited institution under NEASC. So the credibility piece is, the argument's not there. The rest of it becomes, do I like what's in the course?
Well, you can call it a like. I guess that's the one way of looking at everything that you do, that you like. You do only things that you like. I don't think of things that way. I think of things as being rational or irrational and appropriate. This is, you know, so if you have a course here that is, that you can say is not rational, so it's not appropriate for high school, let's say, then I have an obligation to vote against it, even if it is approved by at UConn. As I've said, there are many courses at UConn that I don't think are appropriate. Certainly not appropriate at a high school level, but they're probably not even appropriate at all. You know, you can get credit on them. They're junk courses. So, but this over here, it has a promise of being something good, but I simply wanted to get a better idea of what was meant by it. And so I asked for it. I mean, it proved it, but, you know, it struck me as a little strange that you could produce this a year later, but you couldn't produce, you know, something along the line that you had eventually. So I don't think I'm asking anything unreasonable. I'm asking you just...
We can't produce a syllabus until July because the teachers don't have their trainings and don't have the approval process to that time. So that was the soonest we could get a syllabus.
The training of the teacher is not relevant to the issue of whether or not you're going to have the material. The material is determined by UConn. So when you say math econ, for example, mathematics of economics, I know perfectly well what that is, especially at UConn, since I took the course. But this over here, it was a new course. It's a combination course. You know, you're doing something new, but you say, well, I have it in the American Studies. You have a whole list of these courses. Well, I mean, why couldn't the professor just simply say, well, here's last year's syllabus, and here's what we do?
We asked. They don't do that. And last year we did provide you with 2 syllabi. Right after the first program of studies meeting, the board had asked for examples. I was able to get 2 examples from the ECE director from 2 schools that are running the course, and we did provide those for you.
Yes.
This syllabus,
Yes.
hang on a second. This syllabus was not available until the summer when the board was not meeting. That's when it gets completed. There's nothing we can offer before then. I also would disagree that this is a junk course. American Studies is not only a major at UConn, but I actually have a friend who's a professor at Cornell who went to Yale, who has a PhD in American Studies. This is an actual course of study at very reputable universities. I'm happy to answer the questions that you did ask about the course because I am able to answer those. So if you'd like those answered, I definitely have the answers to those.
Can I just add one thing? I think we have to also be mindful that, so you bring up different courses under STEM. So it's very different when you have like an ECE physics class. The understanding is that if you're taking college level physics, you're going to cover Newton's law of motion. You're going to cover, so there are things that are not really, we can't really decide on. But a course in the humanities, even though the topics are there in the description, the text that is used to cover the topics could be different. So ECE here at Windsor High School could look a little different from ECE at South Windsor High School. And that is why our teachers are paired with a university mentor or professor to work and approve their syllabus, because it might change. So giving you a sample of other school districts might set this false expectation that this is what we're going to do. When we have our own teachers working with professors, they might come up with something completely different, covering the same topics, but using different mediums. So I just wanted to make sure that we make that distinction between the STEM courses and the humanities courses.
We also instructed, thank you, we also instructed our teachers of this course not to select any books that were not already approved by the board. So all of the books that are used in this course are the same books that were approved by the board for the American literature class. So as far as the novels and plays go. So we did not, and we just felt that that would be better idea than just picking a whole different set of books. Financially a better idea, but also because these were all texts that were available and approved by the board. So the current syllabus that was created in July that you received, the books that are on there are all books that were already approved by the board. So, and those might, like Dr. Haiti said, those might not be books that other districts have approved and are using for their courses.
Okay, I just point out that the sample that was given to us last year was so far afield, though, that I said, well, I thought that was an example of the particular American Studies thing, and it did not fit at all what the description was. So,
Right, because
yes, you
we
gave
were
me something. You gave me something, but it wasn't.
We were giving you an example of another school because you asked for it. We didn't have our own. So again, that's exactly why
Yes,
I
I
said
understand.
providing an example will give a false sense of that this is what we're doing.
Right, but I'll venture to say that if you went to any other high school that was covering American studies, that it would not have had that particular, because it had almost nothing to do with America.
Those
that
were from
particular,
high schools.
particular example that you had.
Those were from local high
actual
schools.
high schools. So they got approved.
Those syllabi were from local high schools. That's how we got them.
Well, that it wasn't, anyway.
So like Dr. Hill said, if the board would like to look into the process, we would need to look into the process for all of the different articulations, not just UConn, because our articulations with Central run the same exact way. So for the courses that we'll explain later, for example, that are in the program of studies that will articulate with engineering and manufacturing, we are going through the same exact process. Our instructors just went through the approval process based on their master's degrees, and are now, just as of maybe 2 weeks ago, we're just paired with professors who will be reviewing and auditing their syllabi to decide if they're approved or not. So it's the same exact process. It's the same exact process for courses that we pair with any of the Connecticut State Community Colleges. So if the board does have an interest in looking into the process is pretty much universal, not the criteria to teach the courses, but the process to have the courses and syllabi approved are virtually identical across the different colleges and universities with whom we partner.
I just say that the board has to have enough information in order to make a decision. That's
Yeah.
the part. And it's a little difficult, it's still difficult to understand why a more detailed description could not be available, since you must have it in mind already. Go ahead. I think we've beaten that course.
Any other questions on the process before we jump into questions on the course itself?
I was just going to say, I was a little concerned too, the same situation, because usually you have a more thorough understanding of what the course is going to be before you take it. And it was defined after, and I understand it's a process. I just think it makes it difficult when it's like a humanities course versus something like chemistry, anything in the math field, the sciences, because they're already defined, you know what they are. And this, wasn't really defined. I mean, you had examples, but it gets defined later. So I was just concerned
Okay, I mean,
about
we'd be
that.
happy to revisit the description. It's actually, when I'm in the program, it's, I think, the longest description that we have of any course in the entire course catalog, but we would be happy to revisit it if that's something that the board wishes for us to do. Even if I look at, like, our English 9 survey course, it's about a 2-sentence description, and this one was as detailed as we could make it based on the information that we had, but if the board requests us to revisit descriptions, that is obviously something the board can do.
Okay.
Should I
Go
proceed with
through
the answers? So
yeah.
there were specific
you.
questions about the American Studies course. The first question was regarding the order of the units. Why does the order of the history units begin with pre-Civil War and Civil War, and then jumps 100 years to the post-World War II and early 1950s period, then returns to the post-Civil War period? The reason why is that the course is designed thematically and conceptually. It's not a chronological course, and we have other history courses that are also, and social studies courses that are designed this way. So that is the reason why. We also, teachers also decided not to move like before, too early, much before the Civil War, because our 8th grade students, they end their 8th grade year at that time period. So they were thinking about a way to sort of pick up from there, but this would be the answer to questions 1 and 2. Question 2 was why the emphasis on McCarthyism early in the course and out of historical sequence. The course is not running in a timeline. It's running as a thematic course, similar to our civics course, which also runs thematically, and our early global course, which runs thematically. The third question, does the course present any reasons why there was a Red Scare at the time, and so on? Yes. The students learn about the Cold War, what was happening, post-World War II, Sputnik, all of those things that would fit there. The fourth question was about the play The Crucible, Arthur Miller's play. The question is, the book or the play The Crucible by Arthur Miller was written to present the view that the House Un-American Activities Committee and McCarthy committees ruined the lives of people in a manner comparable to the way those convicted of witchcraft in Salem, and that the Red Scare was similar to believing in witchcraft. Does the course present the same view? So we use The Crucible. It's the same text that we use in American literature, an approved text. In the play, Miller makes a comparison between the Salem witch trials and McCarthyism. So the students are aware of that, but that's not a focus in this unit. The students are invited to analyze how the author makes that comparison, and they do a number of activities with dialogue with each other and writing and studying the perspectives of a lot of different people historically to draw their own conclusion, but we're not teaching this exact analogy that's made here in the question. And the fifth question, does the course reference any historical studies that assert that there were in fact many communist sympathizers in the government who passed nuclear weapons secrets to the Soviet Union during and after the war, or who worked through the State Department to influence U.S. policy in favor of the interests of the Soviet Union? Yes, I was in class the other day and they actually were talking about that.
Any questions by anybody? Mr. Panos?
Could you go over this thematic order? I mean, because it starts out the Civil War, goes to the post-World War II, and then, at least from history, and then proceeds historically.
It's not going in a order, like a chronology or a timeline. It's going by concept and theme. So for example, the first theme of the course is called These United States. And just as an example, what is covered there is, while the air was dense with pre-war tension and hypocrisy, the mid-19th century unleashed a torrent of genius, expansion, and bloodshed, so on and so forth. It then goes from that to the Red Scare, and then the next theme is the United States. They do a whole comparison between what they're calling these United States and then the United States, about radical shifts in the country. Progress and problems is another theme. Despair and decisions, another theme. And the final theme is I have a dream. And so that actually brings in all different historical eras. So it's thematic, bringing in historical eras. It does not go in a timeline or a chronology that goes from past to present exactly that way. And
Well,
again, we have other courses that do
All I can say
that.
is that it appears to. It appears to, because it talks about, you know, the when it goes back to the, you know, to the Gilded Age part, and it talks about what happened post World War. Then it begins to talk about the First World War. And then it talks about the Roaring Twenties, and then
It doesn't go in a, and I can, like.
well, that
this-
is the order in which they that's what's said. I mean, I don't know. So the themes seem to follow, except for this one. The themes seem to go in, at least parallel the history. So,
I'm just reading what, this is the syllabus. It doesn't go in chronological order.
well, it certainly looked like it, and it certainly looks like it. So, anyway, so in this, the idea of is American identity. I didn't see anything here which describes American ideals that determines American identity. It talks about institutions or things that happened. I mean, and the examples you give, the grapes of wrath, you can say it's a theme. I'm not sure what's, it's kind of hard to get an understanding what an American is from reading, let's say, many of these, the books here. I mean, a very good one, of course, is Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's an excellent one. But and you can say the Great Gatsby shows something about life there. But other than Uncle Tom's Cabin, you really don't have a description of ideas here. So I was surprised that you couldn't find something else in literature that would
This was the
determine
course
what
that
American
was written
is.
and approved by the university.
Excuse me.
This was the course that was written and approved by the university. I don't know what to say to that. We have a million choices of texts that we could use. We have dozens upon dozens of themes. These were the choices made by the qualified people who were writing the syllabus for the course.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much for all your answers to the questions posed and your thorough research of questions before you came here. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is school liaison reports. And the first is Windsor High School, and I'll look to Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's so much that I could have said, but our student rep was so thorough, but I will point out just a few things. The class of 2025, we do here in Windsor Project Graduation. So the first fundraiser for Project Graduation will be on October 22nd at Bart's from 4 to 7. If you come during that time and have a meal, 15% of your total will go to the class of 2025's Project Graduation. And for folks that don't know what Project Graduation is, it is the time after graduation where we hold students, they have fun at the high school where they're, protected, having fun, food, and excitement with each other so that, it keeps students from going out and being unsafe. So again, that first fundraiser is October 22nd, and volleyball senior night is Friday, and festivities will begin around 6 p.m. Come out in all black to support our Windsor Lady Warriors seniors for volleyball. Cross country already had their senior night, and I saw that was well attended and great. The first Windsor High School Governance Council meeting happened September 30th. Our new folks will be starting in the October meeting, which I don't believe has been set. Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, or hasn't been set yet. Dr. Parker said. Okay, so we have teachers that are rolling off, parents that are rolling off, and of course our students and our new folks will be starting in our October meeting. Thanking everyone who has dedicated their time for the past year and some 2 years. And that is it.
I don't know if Nathan, if you're able to see or hear us. If I don't see that, I may pass. Okay. Any questions or comments for the high school report? I just have a quick question. You may not know the answer to it or not, but for the night for project graduation, do you need to bring a flyer or something that says?
You don't have to have
Okay.
one, but I will make sure that Dr. Parker can put that out in the the weekly. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sage Park, Mr. Panos?
Sage Park. Well, there are only a few items here. The parent conferences come up next week, the 23rd, 24th, and the 5th, 25th. And so folks will call in and make their appointments. They will, on October 28th, they will have a bullying and sexual harassment assembly for the students. And there will be 3 different assemblies, one per each grade during the day. These things begin, at 8:30 and 10 o'clock and then 1. So that's the important thing. The Veterans Day, November 11th, they will be celebrating there, and they'll have a program. So those are the important ones. Thank you.
Any questions for Sage Park? Clover Street, Mr. Madison.
Yeah, average daily attendance so far this year has been 96%. That's good. They had their annual walk to school day, as well as the 5th graders going to the state capitol and adjacent buildings to learn about government there. The Pop and Popcorn fundraiser is on now through November 4th for field trip opportunities. And then the first family dance of the school year is going to be held on Friday, October 18th.
Very good. Any questions? John F. Kennedy School, Ms. Cantor.
Thank you. September 25th, JFK held their open house, and they had, on September 27th, was band informational night, and October 2nd and 4th, grade 5 went to the Old State House and the Capitol. The October 7th was a JFK PTO meeting, and the students are starting to collaborate with the company Blue Earth, and students led a composting program and are partnering with the TerraCycle for JFK student-led recycling program, and both should be up and running in November. October 21st is Picture Day. October 25th, the students will visit Northwest Park. October 28th, grades 3 and 5 have STEM and fire prevention. Grade 4 has fire prevention then too. November 4th is the next JFK PTO meeting, and on November 11th is a Veterans Day Assembly. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions for JFK? Any questions for JFK? Seeing and hearing none. Oliver Ellsworth School, Mr. Lockhart.
Be brief. Picture Day will be October 18th. Next PTO meeting will be October 21st. At the school, 6:30 to 7:30. I believe there is a hybrid option for that as well. And the HVAC system is in the process of being commissioned, and things are going quite good there. The building feels pretty good, and they're still doing some last-minute punch list item things, but for the most part, I'm quite pleased about how the project has turned out so far. That's all I got.
Very glad about that. Any questions for Mr. Lockhart? Quantic School, Mr. Halleck.
Thank you. The Pequannock PTO Up High fundraiser is going on currently, and its last day to purchase Up Highs is this Friday, October 18. You can find a link on the Pequannock website if you still like to purchase a pie or pies. And pies can be picked up on November 26th at Pequannock Firehouse. On September 30th, Pequannock School held an open house and a Watch Dogs kickoff event. It was a huge success, so that was great. And on October 1st, Pequannock class Coin Wars started, and that is going through this Friday as well, October 18th. And the grade with the highest donations will be receiving a freeze pop party. The next PTO meeting is going to be on Monday, November 4th from 6 to 7 p.m. in the library. And on Tuesday, November 5th, there will be no school for Election Day. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Pequannock? Okay, we'll move on. Next is the superintendent's report, and I know we have a reading of the program of studies, but Dr. Hill, you have a report as well before that?
Thank you, Mr. President. So before we get to those things, I just want to share a couple of announcements. So on Tuesday, October 8th, we hosted the town's of Windsor's program, the Citizens Academy that you brought up. I was away, but I want to thank my team, Dr. Haiti, and the rest of my administrators and staff for representing well. I did receive an email from the town, so kind of funny, I'll just keep it to myself, but they were very happy with the presentation. Kind of made some kind of comment about it being brief because I wasn't there, so like that's okay. I get the digs all the time. Then when I don't talk, everybody's like, "Why is he not talking?" I'm like, just can't win on that. I as a superintendent want to congratulate my coach, Coach Fleeting, for receiving the recognition. So I'm going to read a little bit more detail than our student rep. But the New York Giants and Gatorade have selected Coach Rob Fleeting of Windsor High School as the Lou Retno High School Coach of the Week for Week 6 of the 2024 season. The Lou Retno High School Football Coach of the Week award is part of the Giants' continuing effort to support local high school football programs. Each week during the high school football season, the Giants will select one area high school head coach as the Coach of the Week to be the winner. The selection is based on the coach's continuing commitment towards promoting youth football, developing motivated student athletes, and contributing to their community. In recognition of Coach Fleeting's selection as Coach of the Week, a $2,000 check will be granted to the school's football program from the Giants Foundation and Gatorade. He will also receive a certificate of recognition signed by the Giants head coach, Brian Dable, and will be honored at a dinner following the season, as well as a 2025 preseason home game. I'd also like to say that one of Coach Fleeting's former players and Windsor alum is currently a Giant, Mr. Jason Pennock. He played from 2014 to 2017. So again, we want to congratulate Coach Fleeting for that recognition and continue to support and congratulate Mr. Pennock for the work that he's doing in the NFL on his team representing Windsor. On October 10th, Dr. Haiti, Ms. Feynman, and Ms. Williams presented at the Performance Matters Forum, and they were highlighting the district's instructional core wheel, the wheel that we see all around the district now, affectionately known as the North Star of Windsor Public Schools. Windsor Public Schools reinforces its position as a leader in Connecticut's education landscape, presenting its innovative work in central office leadership in the Connecticut Performance Matters State Department of Education Conference. The presentation, titled Reorienting and Refining Central Office Through Systems Thinking, highlighted how Windsor Public Schools transform its leadership approach by applying system thinking principles. And again, I want to thank those three for representing Windsor very well. My understanding that it was very, very, very well received by folks across the state, and it's part of my vision for Windsor Public Schools that we'll continue to do the work. As I said, I am never one to be caught up in folks' opinions or their thoughts about the work that we have to do. We just keep doing the work, and they're doing just that. They're doing the work. I want to send out a thank you to John Kugias from the Facilities and Administration Department of Quest Global on Addison Road for the contribution of office supplies, which were distributed among the schools for staff and student use. And on Wednesday, November 13th, we will be holding our annual Service Award celebration, recognizing employees with 10 years experience and every 5 years in increments after that. So 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. And we'll be celebrating at the Lodge at Meneely's in South Windsor. There will be over 65 district employees who will be honored that evening. That is always a nice event, and it is nice to show some appreciation and give honor to those folks who have given some longevity to Windsor Public Schools. Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th, is a professional day for district staff. There will be no school for students that day. District staff will have professional development in the morning through lunch, and then a wellness fair will take place, sponsored by the Windsor Public Schools Wellness Committee, which, as you announced earlier, won a communications award. So I'm also proud to see that other departments in our district are being recognized in the state as well. And my next coffee talk, we had one this evening. It was brief. There were no burning issues. That usually happens, right? You have a burning issue and then it's pretty quiet, and I just jinxed it. Okay. Well, it's the story of life, right? We'll live it out. And this ain't really wood, but we'll try. Right. So the next coffee talk will be November 12th, and it will be at Bart's, and I'm really excited because the new Bart's is very nice. I like it. So I've met the owners a few months ago, and I said, "Hey, I want to hold one of." I'm like, "Sure." So it's very nice. I like it, and I'm always happy to be able to get us outside of our school buildings and into town businesses and properties to continue to build those partnerships. And so that's it for that portion of my report. And at this time, before I call Dr. Haiti, I'd like to call Mr. Kearse up. Although people want to continue to call him Captain, I have to remind you he is no longer in the police department. You can call him Coach Kearse. He's Cap for life. He's Captain for life. There you go.
Sergeant.
We had some questions, I believe, about our certificates of residency. So he's going to just speak to that.
Great. Panos, I know you were.
I thought there was going to be a report.
He's going to report on it. You mean like something like a presentation, or?
Well, okay.
He's going to give the information.
I just asked for a report for.
Oh. So we told him to come because he has to be here anyway. So you get an extra. You get an extra.
You have nothing to say unless I ask you a question.
You have on my favorite color.
That's a nice color, isn't it?
It's a
I'm
perfect
purple.
color, you know.
Purple, yeah. So I'll give you a report. Okay, so this is early for us to do this type of report, but so from August to October 16th, we have 15 open investigations. So far, total investigations, Windsor High, we have 15, 4 removals, 5 closed cases, 6 open, Sage Park, 12 investigations, 2 removals, 3 closed, 7 open, Aquatic School, 3 investigations, 0 removals, all 3 of those cases are still open. Oliver Ellsworth, 2 investigations, 1 removed, 1 open. Clover Street School, 3 investigations, 1 removal, 2 open. John F. Kennedy School, 2 investigations, both of those are still open. It's a total of 37 investigations, 21 are still open. We've had 8 removals. Certificate of residency.
Here we are. How many?
311 students on certificate of residency. Of those, something which I know you're interested, 5 removals. That actually will bring that 311 total down, because this just happened. 5 removals that were on certificate of residency, and those are reviewed every fall semester. And some of the investigations do involve people on certificate of residencies, but most do not.
What was the total, Mr. Kearse, of certificate of residencies last year?
It was over 400. It was
460.
Yeah, like 460. But see, what happens
So you're doing a good job.
It's not really me. What happens is when we go through those numbers and we go talk to people, as I note in this report, I don't count it as me. If I come to you and say, hey, Paul, you ain't living here, and you on your own just go elsewhere, I don't count that.
Okay, you shouldn't, I guess. You should say.
If I don't have to write a report.
No, I see. Someone, for example, a staff member it's in the past, someone would say, well, it comes to our attention, and it would be at the school level, would even say,
yes,
it comes to our attention. Now, I would say that that's a legitimate thing where you brought attention to them and they left.
Yeah, they brought it to attention and then they left. They leave. People who don't live in town and you speak to them about it, most people will just leave. Sometimes you have to go to the house and wherever it is, whether it's in East Windsor, Enfield, East Hartford, wherever, you have to go and watch them come out of the house in the morning and say hi.
I mean, the normal way of doing it was almost a week's, they'd have one investigating officer, here for them, and there'd be one would go to their home and watch them leave, and then
takes time.
And they would gather the data and then show them, and if they didn't want to leave at that point, we would have a hearing.
Exactly. But generally, if the person is leaving and you go up to them, see, that's because they didn't want to approach, and then you just write a report. I'm coming up to you and approaching you.
So typically, what would you do? Let's say you find out or you suspect someone is not, is not a resident here. You go and present them. Are you the one who does them all the time, or does the school say? Does anyone at the central office at the school?
Does the school send someone?
Yeah.
No,
they wouldn't.
No, people not. Listen, they're not really that happy, and it's not. I wouldn't even recommend that. Some of those interactions, literally, I've been pulling up to people's home for different things, and
or even a letter.
I'll call, and when I'm calling, all the lights go out, like literally, and I'm right outside the home, and then I go and like nobody's answering the door.
They all know you. You on the internet? Is that the idea? They all know your face.
I don't know if they know me, but people just.
Well, you got to get a partner, I guess.
Well, that's the idea. That's why we those numbers, as you said, are down, and that's what we get people. Say that again.
He'd have to leave the board if he wants to do that. It's decisions,
I've been asking him to come.
He's been offering me.
Since I've been here. Come out.
And people to my right offered me too.
If you do that, I'll encourage us to pass a budget, a supplemental budget.
Hear when they let their dog out, when literally a guy, and you can go look it up, came to the door with a shotgun, and I was like, put that up. Within a month, I told the police about it. They ended up having a shooting there where he shot someone that was shooting at him right at the house. Because I knew something was wrong, because that's just not. You can protect your home, but Jeepers Creepers, I had nothing on me, and you gonna come to the door with a gun, and I was like, yo, what's wrong with you? I'm just trying to see if your daughter live here. Yeah. But see, you gonna be running to your car. I ain't trying to be funny. You ain't just talking like that. You not.
All right.
Mr.
Can I ask a whole series of questions on this? So I think that it's worth, if you intervene at all, I think it's worth getting the metrics on that to capture that, right? And then I'd be curious to know the percentage of your time that you spend on it. And I'd want to monetize that, and I'd want to ask, what would it take and what kind of skills would you need to get more staff on this? Because this self-justifies from a cost perspective very easily, right? So if you argue, and I know you can't do the direct math of $27K a kid, right? But you can roughly say that, right? If you can get dozens and dozens of kids who just don't belong here into the places where they do belong, right? That has a line item effect. You can put a dollar figure on that to some reasonable degree. We could put a dollar figure on your cost to the organization and the percentage of time you spend. We can argue that you could fund somebody to assist you in that. You need a level of charisma and personality and aggression and grumpy-lookingness that gets the job done.
And you're Why you got to throw at grumpiness? What the heck?
That's a compliment.
But I'm a nice guy.
So what would it take to say, okay, do we know your time allocation? Do we know what that cost would be if we got somebody else to do that who had the right skills for the job? Can we take credit for the ones, even if you do just one knock on the door, you get credit for it? We might look at that from a purely financial perspective, and we fund something to help you.
Mr. Madison, because that comes up all the time, and I know you're new, so this is like really your first time dealing with that one. So I want Ms. Batchelder to explain, because it's not as clean as that.
Nah, it's not. I'm gonna tell you another piece, which I don't talk about in this report at all. You'd be surprised how many people live in Windsor and go to different schools. I don't.
Can you encourage that?
No, they might come back. I don't tell the other towns.
I volunteered you, remember?
That's fair.
Previous meetings.
Yeah, so,
I got
it, oh, you got it?
Yeah, please. No, you were gonna say.
So just, to start off, so the district has always had a residency officer. We actually used to have more than one. I think it was either 2 or 1.8 or something like that. And no students ever left. So we do have a special person doing this by far, and if you actually put a time to it, we'd probably be paying him more than we do. So to do that would not be a good idea, because he's literally weekends, holidays, nights, mornings.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So that's where we get salary people from.
The thing is, this is the
salary
problem.
people.
Imagine most people during the day. Okay, school is open. The people are at work. There's nobody home. So you're going to have to come back in the evening. You're going to have to come on the weekend. You have to do those things. If you don't, you're never, ever, I won't say never, rarely would you catch someone. First off, the kid that you're going to check on is in school. So, of course, they're not going to be there.
Right.
The mom or pop, they're going to be at work. So you have to do other things during other times. And really, it's not as time consuming. Like if I have practice Saturday at 9, I'll go Saturday at 7:30, visit something, then go to practice at 9.
Yeah. So how backlogged would you say you are then? Like, I mean,
I don't know that it's backlog.
Okay.
Because in terms of the level of importance, I mean, that money, as you know, has already been budgeted. So I'm trying to find out if, and some kids bring more attention to themselves than others. And if you bring attention to yourself, yeah, you probably gonna get a lot of attention.
So what I also want to clarify, Mr. Madison, and again for the public, that although we talk about this every year, the certificate of residencies, and they are definitely down greatly, the majority by far are just fine. Like, they're there for a reason. Like, just because you say certificate of residency, that doesn't mean that there's some nefarious or illegal thing going on. So the majority of those 300 some are going to be fine. So there is no boon to be had, really, like, because people always think that, we get this, we can count this many numbers. It doesn't work that way. And most of those kids are there just fine. It's a legal document, and they're in our district legally, and we just deal with that. The ones we find out is like, he just said an example, certificate of residency, you used to live with this relative, but we find out that you moved to another town. So you can't leave your kids in our school system. You had a legal certificate of residency, you got a lease in another town, your kids go with you.
Most, to be honest, they're quite as simple as I'm living in town, I move, I want my kid to stay there, they don't say anything. It's really just simple as that. But I don't think the numbers are high as you would imagine. You can remember when you went to school, you used to have 1,600 students. We have more residents now, but way less students. Like, where are those kids? They're not sneaking in here. They're not here. We have more residents now than what we did 20 years ago. That's a statistical fact. So you see all the different residences that are being built. Those things weren't around when she was in high school. Yet we used to be a double L, and I look at things in terms of sports because I'm coach sports teams. But we were double L and everything. We're L and double M. Come on, look at our football team. They're double M. we got, I just was looking at the numbers, we have a little over 500 boys, a little over 500 girls at the high school level. We have a little over 3,000 total students, but we got almost 30,000 residents, and a significant amount of them up on Deho Road, up on Pequannock Avenue. There's a lot of kids up through there. Go and watch, because see, I also have the crossing guards, and you go up there, I'm looking up there where they just put a crosswalk up just north of Pequannock School. There's kids living in there. Well, where them kids go to school?
Well,
So, any other question for Mr. Kears?
well, just to address that, I mean, just generally, there's a demographic decline. I mean, this is why we closed the Walcott School, because it was, and we have the projections, just based upon the number of children born. So this has been in a decline for the last, 10, 12 years, 15, something like that. There was a kind of a bubble that came up in the 80s and 90s, and so it's not, so this was something predicted, let's say 15 years ago. Actually, it's surprising that we have as many as we do, because we could have used it. Probably was a bad idea to close Walcott. We might have been able to use it, but that was based upon the belief just that there was a general decline, and the vast majority of districts around claim that they have declining enrollment. So it's just because you have a whole bunch of old people doesn't mean doesn't mean you have that you're going to have a lot of children.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
For your report.
Yeah, well, you could write that out, and you could pass that to us, in a report. Thank you very much.
Anything, sir? I'm outstanding.
Thank you, Mr. Kears. So now I'll call Dr. Haiti up to share about the data that we have heretofore. So share.
You have a question? Oh, okay. So tonight is just going to be a very quick teaser overview of our data. In November, we're going to have our full accountability report out, and I'm going to have the whole presentation and everything. So currently, just some celebrations. Our students in grades K through 3 take the DIBELS assessment, and that is the assessment that tests students' acquisition of literacy skills. And for a very long time, we've always seen a pattern where students end the year at, let's just say an example, first grade end the year at like 70% of our students at or above grade level, but then they start second grade and then they're way below that. So we've been, talking about summer slide. We've been talking about how are we teaching? Are we teaching for retention or not? Why are kids not retaining information? So we've seen that pattern across all grades where from year to year, it looks like kids are going down and they're not going up. For the first time in a very long time, finally, we broke that pattern. So our students in using the DIBELS data in grades K1, 2, and 3 they have shown so for example, kindergarten last year started the year at 40% at or above grade level. So that cohort of kids in kindergarten stayed the whole year with us last year. And then this year, at the beginning of the year, they're at 65% at or above grade level. So that tells us that while they were with us for the entire year in kindergarten, they have learned, and we've been able to pick up 25% more kids and get them on grade level. Same thing to first grade to second grade. Last year, they were at 50%. This year, same group of kids, so we're comparing apples to apples, started the year at 64%. Same pattern with second to third grade, started at 61. This year, third graders started at 73. So we finally broke that pattern where kids, the longer they stay with us, the lower they get. So that is such a huge celebration that I wanted to make sure that we highlight tonight. Also another celebration, looking at our iReady assessment. So our kids in grades K through 8 take iReady in math and reading. And again, same pattern where we see every year that we end the year one way, our numbers look one way, and then we start the year another way. This is our first year since COVID that our students have started the year, so their beginning of the year diagnostic is higher than the previous years. So we are seeing students starting the year this year at a higher percent than they used to start in previous years. So that again tells us that last year, some great teaching and learning took place and students are retaining and they have grown over the course of that year from fall to fall. Also another celebration. We've been working so hard since COVID on our chronic absenteeism. And I think as a state, we finally, we have we're actually below the state level, below the state average in our attendance rate as well as our chronic absenteeism. So 23-24, our average attendance rate was 93.3%, and the state was at 93%. So we were slightly higher than the state attendance rate. So the average attendance rate is the average number of students that we have in our schools daily, and then we take the average over the 180 days. Looking at the chronic absenteeism, which is students missing 10% or more of the school year, 23-24, our chronic absenteeism was 17.1%. And just to give you a reference point, 2021, our chronic absenteeism was at 30.9%. So we've gone all the way down to even more than half of our chronic absenteeism. However, we are not at our number before COVID. So 18-19, we were at 9.7%. So our goal is to get to 9.7% chronic absenteeism so that we can get back to our pre-COVID numbers. Truancy is a little different. Truancy just looks at our percent of students who have 4 unexcused absences in a month or 10 unexcused absences in a year. So there's a difference between chronic absenteeism and truancy. Chronic absenteeism looks at all absences. So whether you're sick, you're on vacation, you're wherever you are, that is your chronic absenteeism. So if you miss 18 days of school for whatever reason, you're considered chronically absent. Truant is when you miss 4 days consecutive in a month that are unexcused, or 10 unexcused absences in a year. So your unexcused absences would be all the vacations and anything else that is not really, sick or of that nature. Our truancy rate for last year, 23-24, was 15.7%, while the state was at 20.7%. So way below the state average in terms of truancy. And the reason these are celebrations for us is that we do know and all understand that in order for us to educate our kids and in order for us to get to our North Star and get to where we want to get, we have to have our kids in our schools. So I think that was kind of like step one, let's get the kids here. So if we have a third of our population not in school, then obviously a third of our population is not going to be educated on a daily basis. So we celebrate this because we've done a lot of work. We have attendance teams in every building. We have an attendance tracker that every single school keeps up with on a daily basis. In any point in time, we can pull up and tell you who's been absent, what reason, why, and what steps have been taken. We can definitely see the return on the time invested in all the attendance efforts. The state has released 4 indicators for public view on EdSite. So these are the 4 indicators I'm going to share with you. Everything else is not going to be available for the public until beginning of November. So our physical fitness indicator, which is our percent of students who are passing the physical assessment. The physical assessment is given in grades 4, 6, 8, and once in the high school, we give it to grade 10 currently. So our physical fitness indicator, again, for the first time since 1819, is back up to 43%. So 43% of our students who have taken the fitness assessment have passed all 4 sections of the fitness assessment. That is a huge celebration considering that last year we were at 29. So a huge celebration for our PE teachers in all our schools. And our next indicator is our art access. So that is the percent of students in grades 9 through 12 who have taken at least one dance, music, theater, visual art, or media art at the high school. And our, again, it has gone up. Last 22-23, we were at 51.8%. And last year, 23-24, we are up to 53.1%. So we saw a 2% increase in our art access. These increases might seem small, but the overall, when we hopefully get our state report card, it will show an increase on our overall indicator for the school district as a whole. And our last indicator that is public is our college and career readiness indicator. And that is an indicator I'm very proud of because we have been trying to do a lot of work on that. And when we talk about ECE classes and AP classes or CTE classes, that's where this is reflected on this indicator, because the indicator calculates students who have taken college level classes, so AP or ECE classes, or have taken 2 consecutive classes in a CTE pathway. So this year, 23-24, our college and career readiness indicator is at 79.4%, which has gone up by 2.4% from the previous year. And that is just a little teaser so that you can patiently wait for November to find out about everything else.
That's an admin.
Stay tuned.
That's a tidbit, huh? That's
Just a little teaser.
Oh, and you're going to show all this at the CABE convention, right?
Absolutely, whatever you want.
Yes, sir.
Questions?
Nope.
Thank you so much. Congratulations for the work that Dr. Hill and Dr. Haiti and the rest of the staff have done to keep moving us with the North Star in mind.
Okay, so next up, I would like to call Ms. Bonnie Feynman and Ms. Dana Fudge to go over our first read for the 2025-2026 program of studies.
I'm first going to look for a motion.
I move the Board of Education approve the proposed changes to the Windsor High School 2025-2026 program of studies as a first read.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Panos, to accept the proposed changes, and we have our speakers here.
Good evening, everyone. So you have before you some additions and changes that we are proposing for our 2025-2026 program of studies. Each department each year gets to review the courses that they offer, and they make suggestions regarding adding additional classes or making any changes to their courses, such as their levels or the credit or the description of those courses. So first thing you're seeing is that it's just a couple changes that needs to be made to updating the graduation chart. That's part of the program of studies, so that families are fully aware of what those actual graduation requirements that are expected of their students, which are the 5 credits to meet graduation requirements. A couple of the changes will get more in depth as we go on in our talking in our additions and subtractions, but the first thing is an update to the social studies, and we'll talk more about those courses, but we're looking to update the description of what those 3.5 credits entail, and that you will see on the chart, as well as there is a graduation requirement for financial literacy that the state of Connecticut has put in place, that all students need to be financial literate. So Windsor was kind of ahead of the game already by having students do personal finance, but we are proposing to change it to financial literacy as the state is requiring, and make personal finance be one of the options, as well as adding a couple additional courses that have been identified that can also meet the requirement as well, which as we go further along, you will see what those courses are, but that's just making sure we're updating the chart to reflect what the actual graduation requirements are. You'll also see that I'm adding the FAFSA requirement. That is another graduation requirement. We did talk about that last program and study changes, and we approved that, starting with the class of 2025, that we were going to make sure that they are receiving the FAFSA requirements. I'm just making sure that it's in the actual chart so families are seeing it and fully aware. And just updating the statement regarding our 8th graders also receiving high school credits, that they should be attending the high school in order to receive those credits. So we're just adding that little statement to say, you know, a perk of attending Windsor High School, you will be getting these credits that you took at the middle school, but you should be attending Windsor High School to get it. So that's one hopefully additional way to get our students to stay within district, is to know that they will have those credits on their transcript if they step foot in our building. All right. So one of the other bigger changes that we're doing, our CTE department has decided to start a health career pathway. So there's 3 courses here that we are proposing to be added to our program of studies to help our students that are interested in the health field to actually obtain a health degree. With our new teacher that was hired, she's fully qualified to be able to teach these 3 courses. The students will also be receiving ECE credit as well. These are actual UConn classes. You will see the descriptions there for each of those 3 classes that we are looking to make part of our program studies and offerings for our students. Under English, you will see there are lots of changes, but I think for the better, and for our students, our seniors, to go from a year-long courses to senior-based model, semester-based model. For all seniors, this is a practice that was done years ago in this district where the seniors were taking semester courses, and this is a model we're looking to go back to, where all seniors will take senior seminar. So that would be the common experience that each of them will have. Each one will have the senior seminar as their first semester course, but they have an option to choose whatever they want for their second elective. This is giving students more options, more choice, more say in what they're learning for their senior year. For their English course, it also is actual classes that are relevant and interesting to them, because we actually surveyed our seniors and asked them what they would like to take. And these are the actual courses that our students decided was of interest to them and that they would be interested in actually taking. And our teachers are extremely excited about this and are looking forward to actually going to this semester-based model. Moving along. For our science department, we're looking to add a sustainable agriculture class. This, once again, is increasing opportunities for our students that are at our college level to have more options for science classes for them. So this will give them another course to consider as an option if this is an interest for them. In social studies, we are also proposing some changes. As you can see, we're looking to remove our early global, which is taken in 9th grade, and our modern global, which is taken during 10th grade. And we are proposing for 9th graders to take human geography as an option on top of the African American Latino studies. So they have both of those options, either or. And then the global studies will be the 10th grade requirement. Reason for these changes is in middle school, 6th and 7th grade, they're already learning about early global. So when they come into middle school, they're pretty much repeating a lot of the things that they have already learned as middle schoolers. So we're hoping that this will give them some opportunities to learn some different materials, some new material, and to build upon what they already were being taught at the middle school level. Also, teachers have found, especially for our students, that a lot of them are unaware of how to even read a map or how to identify where things are on a map. So by having this human geography class, this will hopefully, help our students be more familiar with where things are in the world, right? And on a map, and to be able to identify different areas with more ease. Yep.
I'm whispering today and I have
I
a
was gonna say,
microphone
but go
here. The other thing we should mention, I don't mean to cut you off,
you're
is we are able to also offer human geography as an AP course for freshmen. So, and it is offered in a number of other districts for freshmen. It's one of the only courses that a lot of freshmen around the state take as an AP. So it is available. We're proposing to run it at college honors and for incoming freshmen to have the opportunity to try an AP course right from the start.
Absolutely. Yep, thanks.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Some additional things, obviously, every year for our Air Force JROTC program, we just make some changes to the program of studies for them as far as what they're going to offer from one year to the next. So this is just switching out what they offer this year will no longer be offered next year. We're going to put it on hold for another year, and what was not offered this year will be offered. So they always flip-flop their courses as far as what's going to be offered. So that's what's that. Also for Career Tech, there's just a couple courses that are getting some updated course descriptions and adding in some changes to the credit from going to full credit to half credits. So this again is also helping with offering students opportunities to take more electives and have more opportunities. But like I said, updating the descriptions, adding ECE to them because these are the courses that, as you know, we now have a partnership with Central. So these are the courses that we have recently identified will be the actual courses that will be taught by Central. So we just had to rework some of the description for those courses to make them align with Central. All right. For English, they're just asking for us to move the African American literature class to from under courses to from elections to an actual course that they can take. So some of these things are just asking for things to be moved to different spots in the program of studies and, like I said, updating descriptions. So nothing major except for just moving the location of it and updating the description to be a little bit more relevant.
So moving that one to be one of those options for seniors.
Absolutely.
So if seniors are taking the senior seminar and an elective, the African American literature course, which previously was an elective, would be a course, but this would be just offered to seniors among all those other electives. So they have an additional one. It's not a new course. It's the same course that we've had, but instead of it being an option for everybody, it's an option for seniors.
Absolutely.
Who are also taking seminar.
Yep. So that's why it's going to be moved, like I said, from electives to one of the courses the seniors can take. And the level change is going to go down to be one of those non-level courses because all of the English courses that the seniors will have an opportunity to take are going to be non-leveled. So it's just changing this from an honors level course to a non-level.
What does that mean as to weighting grades in that when you're a non-level versus an on? I mean,
as far as the leveling?
Yeah.
So, excuse me, oh my gosh, I have a little tickle. Non-leveled meaning there is less, has a high weight to it. It's just a regular college course level, not college course level, but it's not weighted like a course that is a college level or a honors level or AP or ECE. So there's no weighted to it. No weight to it, rather.
It doesn't add into where you stand.
No. So with some kids, obviously, are more more ECE AP kids may not opt to necessarily follow this pattern or this pathway. They will look to probably take more of the AP courses or the ECE courses because those are weighted versus this class that is not weighted. So this may be a kid that may be like our college level kids or something like that, or some of our special education students. But even some of our other students may decide it's a course interesting to them enough where they will be willing to take it even if it's not weighted because they've taken so many other courses already that were AP and ECE. But they're just taking it just solely because it's something they're truly interested in learning about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just on that, just wondering, I was unfamiliar. When did they start introducing non-leveled? Has it always been? I don't recall this even 20 years ago. You know, is this something that...
I do know that the half-year civics, which is a requirement for seniors as well, they can take civics for half a year, or they can take like the AP Gov, which is a year-long course to fulfill their civics requirement. The civics has always been a non-level course. So these courses are going to be similar to the civics. We don't have a lot of courses that are not non-weighted non-leveled. Civics has always been one, but now we're adding in these particular courses as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So then we're back to the American Studies that we've been talking about a lot this evening, but this is more to just update the course description. Hopefully to better reflect, to add honors to it, because I don't think it had that before. It only offered the ECE, so we're trying to offer an honors level as well as the ECE, but hopefully, like I said, now with the discussions, there's a better understanding of what the American Studies is, hopefully. But we are wanting to offer not only the ECE option, but an honors option as well, which will also help our students, let's say, that are maybe struggling with the ECE, to be able to have a lower level they can drop down to if need be, or go up to, so an easy transition. So we're looking to add honors with the ECE. Math, this is just updating their diagram. Last year we made some adjustments to the sequence for the math, so this is just the update of the diagram here, just showing what it will be and what it looks like. And then CE Math for Business and Economics, that is one of those courses that we are proposing to have to fulfill the financial literacy requirement. So just, that's what we would like to do. Bless you. Science, just updating the description for the anatomy and the physiology class to make sure that it says the prerequisite of successfully completing biology. So we need to add that because we're finding that that's a need and wanting to make sure that students have successfully completed that class. And then for the ECE chemistry and AP, general chemistry and AP chemistry, we're just revising the prerequisites because when we made the changes to the math, we did not update the prerequisites for those two courses to make sure that the Algebra 2 have been taken. So that is what we need to have done for the next go-round here for program studies. Social studies, economics, once again, is one of those financial literacy requirement classes we're identifying. So that's just asking to make that be one of those courses along with the AP ECE option as well to be used for the fulfillment of the financial literacy requirement. We're updating the course descriptions for the United States history class and the civics class, just making them obviously more relevant to what is being taught in those classes now. Just updating those two things, along with American Studies, as I already said, we're updating that as well. Our special education department has asked for a couple updates in regards to the description of their Bridges program at our high school and to update the description of their consumer math class and their pre-algebra class. World Language has asked for an update of their description for their Spanish 1 class, so that's what you'll see there. And then, as I stated earlier, we have our partnership with CCSU now. So now that we have identified what actual courses we will teach, we came before you last year proposing a couple classes, but we have to go back to the drawing board and work with them to come up with these lists of courses that are there. So that's just updating that section to what the courses will be that we have of our partnership with Central 4. And then last year we also came before you guys regarding AP exams and asking for families to pay for the AP exams. But as you see, we are asking for that to now be updated as well to where if you're free or reduced lunch, it will be a different price versus if you're not free or reduced lunch. So just updating that statement in the program of studies. And then always we update the counselor assignments, so that's that. And then lastly will be deletions. These are things that we are actually taking completely out of the program of studies, and that will be the English 12, because as I stated, we're going to a semester model, or at least we're asking to go to a semester model, so we will no longer be teaching English 12, which is a year-long class. And then the early global studies and the modern global studies to be removed as well. And then lastly,
As you know, right now, we do not have an alternative education program. We're looking to revamp that to something different. But in the meantime, I was asked by our special education department to remove the prior descriptions for alternate education until we come up with our new plan. And the course that was part of that program. That is everything. All right.
I'm trying to think of the best way of going through this, and my thought is that we'll kind of go page by page if people have questions.
Yep.
So are there any questions from the board regarding the chart itself on page 1? I must say, I was a little surprised to see the financial literacy options. I usually think options are good. I remember early on being on the School Governance Council and parents concerned about kids being able to write a check, though checks may not exist, and probably how to do a Venmo account. Some of the basic things, what's a mortgage, what's buying real estate, what do we do to fill out a tax form when we're younger? And I would hope whatever options are here that the parents and students know enough about each class that they're not getting something that might be in one of the other classes, and they're making, parents with students, they're young adults making that decision, because I just know one of the big discussions was we need to have financial literacy, and we were all happy that we led the way, one of the districts early on that agreed to that, so it was just a little surprised more than anything. More of a statement than asking for a reaction.
I thought the same thing.
Ms.
That's what
Cantor?
I had printed off at home and circled it. And I thought, it was a big expansion on that. I just hope they understand really to be fiscally responsible to start with. And then, if they are, move on to the other things. It's a lot of choices, which is nice.
Oh, if you want to.
I can address that if you want. So the state has very expanded because a lot of districts across the state, as you know, the financial literacy was adopted. We adopted it early, as Dana already said. When last spring, I believe it was, the state State Department of Education expanded the teaching certifications for who is eligible to teach financial literacy courses. So in the state, they say you have to have these topics that you have to go over in your financial literacy. So other schools were looking for creative ways that they could get this in. Like, we took care of it early. We were great when it comes to that. But we do have those 2 courses that we already have that meet those standards, that have that stuff that the state requires in it. We might have to add a couple of those little things, but it's very clear, like a couple little units here and there, but the economics piece is a big part of that, and we have those matching curriculums already, so it's just another option. It will really help out too, as we have 2 business teachers, so now we're able to, hopefully, if kids opt to take an economics pathway or that ECE pathway, we can offer some more electives in the business courses as well. So that was they're teaching it anyway. It's a lot of the same material. So it was stuff that we already have. So it was just another option once the state expanded that to offer it to other teachers with different certifications that are able to teach that as well. Math and social studies.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Piano?
I was going to make the same remark, similar remark. Financial literacy, economics and math for econ are considered as filling the requirement, but these courses do not normally cover the topics of personal finance. I mean, that's, I would say I can assure you that at Porth, they do not. And in other words, dealing with the subject he's talking about, or that you ought to save, pay your bills on time, invest, things of that nature. Economics is a high-level thing. It's not a practical, hands-on topic. And math econ is, forget it, it's nowhere near this. So, so I was kind of surprised to see that it felt it would have to be, it would have to be some units added to the course,
Yeah,
you know,
as
and
Ms. Vanderleo said, there will have to be some units added to those particular courses to make sure that we are hitting those areas that we need to be hitting for the financial literacy.
right. Well, that's on top, well, these are AP courses too, and, so, I think they're ECE courses too, right? Both at the same time,
yep.
right? That's it. All right, as long as it's,
No,
thank you.
we're aware that we'll have to add some additional units.
Mr. Madison?
Yeah, so let me make sure I understand this, right? So for the financial literacy, if someone takes the ECE math for business and economics or the economics class, both of which are ECE or AP, that they don't have to do the financial, but the personal finance one, correct?
Correct.
Is it, you said that something about the state made a ruling on that, or?
Yeah, the state has expanded who can teach, who qualifies to teach a financial literacy course. So
Yeah.
typically it's been business teachers, our business teachers, but they've now said math and social studies teachers qualify to teach the courses.
Gotcha. And it didn't come down as a rule that we have to do it. We've chosen to do it.
No, the state of Connecticut has said that every school in Connecticut has to teach a financial literacy course.
Right, but you meant
Yes.
choosing
But
these.
as far
others.
as choosing, yes, we chose these courses
We said, hey, if you
ourselves.
take these, you don't have to do
These
financial.
fit the criteria,
They
yes,
expanded it.
we decided.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I love it, and I wouldn't water down the economics or the math or business and economics with minutia. I mean, if you have a kid who can handle what 11th and 12th grade ECE, business and economics and economics, I'm not worried about their ability to do a checkbook. Okay, so
They'll hire someone to do
Well,
their
it's
taxes.
additionally, it's added to their workload, don't forget.
yeah,
Have to pass an AP exam, and on top of that, it depends on how much work this is, but it's not the same material. That's
No,
all
it's
I'm
not.
telling you.
No, for me, it's better material. Listen, this is better material. Look, my kid's gonna take these courses. He has been managing his checkbook. He has a bank account. He has a checkbook. He balances to the penny. He reports it to his parents. The kid can crank his finances. I'm not worried about that. I just have to believe that anybody who can handle these two courses, I don't want to water down the economics and the EC math or business and economics courses. That's my point. Thank you. Right? Keep them as is. You give me a kid who can pass these two courses, he's gonna figure out how to do a checkbook. So I actually like that it's a
Mr.
substitute.
Madison?
Yes, please.
I'm just gonna chime, because none of you have my experience teaching the course for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's exactly why most Americans have problems financially, because all you super smart math-like people think you can jump over there. You don't have a clue how to handle finances in general, and you don't know how to handle a checkbook. That is a very common thing that's talked about in this country
Yep.
for college graduates currently. It doesn't matter what their major is. That is really not true about most Americans. They do not know how to balance a checkbook, and they are not good with finances, regardless of what they went to school for.
Yes, I respect that you believe that.
No, I got 30 years on you teaching it, and so I know what I'm talking about.
Entitled to your opinion.
You said I'm a
But
numbers
let me-
guy.
No.
I am the numbers guy with this one.
But here's the thing, you just said most people can't. I'm not talking about most people. I'm talking, what percentage of the students in the high school take one of these two courses?
Not very many.
Correct. You give me that as a set, and I sample them.
I'll take your
bet
money
you they
from the
can handle a
community.
checkbook.
You will walk into high school tomorrow, and I'll let you go in the room and you ask.
And
And
that's
then you're
actually,
gonna buy me lunch at Fleming's. Because I'm not cheap.
At Bart's.
Fleming's.
At Bart's.
No.
that's actually, we didn't mention that, but that's a good point. We don't have very many, like, especially the economics classes sometimes don't even run. Like,
Yeah.
we
No.
sometimes don't even have enough students that take those classes.
I'm with you.
So
Yeah.
one benefit to allowing for the flexibility would maybe be that we could encourage more students to take those high-level economics classes. But I would imagine, I don't have the exact numbers on this, but I would imagine still that the vast majority of our students will take the personal finance
Oh, yeah, no
course.
question.
We're not running econ right now, right?
We're not
We
even
don't,
running
we didn't have
economics
enough
right now.
students to run the econ course. We are running the,
One section, not until second semester, but not right this second.
currently running.
Okay, Ms. Cantor and then Mr. Panos.
So all I want to say is, I respect your opinion, Dr. Hill. I don't agree at all. I don't want those classes watered down.
Be watered down, so the syllabi left to be.
Wanted to speak to your point about, they could just figure that out. I'm just letting you know, that's an assumption of people typically who come from your background. They make that assumption. engineers, mathematicians, numbers people, that's just raw math. You're not good with money in general. That's not Dr. Hill's made-up thing. Sorry.
Ms. Cantor.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. That's why I brought up fiscally responsible at the very beginning, because most people have a hard time managing finances, money, and they're in debt, and they have impulsive buying, and they gotta have, and they just can't seem to manage. So, thank you.
Mr. Pianos?
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, I guess the alternative to this would be to say, well, all right, in order to graduate, you're going to have to take an extra course in financial literacy, right? All right.
Well, we could always do that, but let's not do it for next year.
No, please don't.
Okay. Okay, the next sections are any of the courses that are listed from pages 1 through 6.
1 through 1, I'm sorry.
1 through
what?
6.
6, you said? Okay.
6.
People have questions on the course offerings.
I'll just, well, I don't want to, okay, in order, let's see here. I'll just go with the English one. I'll just question why we're going back. I see, the senior, senior seminar courses are career choices and personal interests, such as hobbies and what to do, things like that. And it's nice to have personal finance, but it's not a replacement for a regular English literature and composition course. Now, you have several others that they could take in addition to the senior seminar. You have another seminar, then this next semester you're going to go to an elective, like, well, I mean, African American literature could fit, but you have films as literature, sports and society, Voices Under Fire, Leaving Your Legacy. With the exception of the African American literature, these do not appear to be equivalent to a normal 12th grade literature and composition course. British literature could possibly substitute in there. So it seems like it's less of a course from the point of view of English, which is normally like a required course, and the rest of these are kept as electives. I mean, for that reason. So it just doesn't seem to be a good change. I'm also interested to say you're going back to it. You used to have this. When did they have this?
We didn't have these exact.
Not the exact
we did have a semester-based model. So this is my 12th year or 13th year. The year before I got here, it was semester-based. And then when I got here, they had just moved it to a full year course. So I don't know the history before that, but I do know my first year was the first year that they had it after it being semester-based.
So anyway, I'll just make that comment. It doesn't strike me as a good buy.
Any other comments? Ms. Taylor?
So for clarity, these are 0.5s.
Right, so all seniors would have to take the seminar. The seminar course was modeled after, but it's not an ECE course, but it was modeled after a writing course that UConn offers as an ECE course. It's not ECE, it's modeled after it. So everybody takes that course. That's what the proposal is. Doesn't have to be first semester, so they could take it either first or second. And then they'd have to select and this is if they are not taking AP Lit or ECE Multimodal, which are courses that will still be offered. So then they would pick one of the electives, including the African American Lit elective that we already have. And then these new ones that were student proposed, they would pick that for their other, so it's a 1 credit total, but yes, split into seminar, which everyone takes, and an elective that they pick.
So elective of the seminar.
What's that?
You're explaining that you can't equate it to like a full year of British Lit because this is a piece of the whole.
Yeah, and we've been listing, we had British Lit, Women's Lit, a number of other electives, and they haven't been running because no one's taking them, which is why we went back to surveying students to ask them if we were to offer senior electives in addition to the AP course and the excuse me, the ECE course, what are some electives that you would like to see? And then that got cross-checked with teachers being asked, what are some electives that maybe you experienced in college as a literature major, or ones that you'd like to teach? And then it got sort of like melded together, and these were the selections.
The reason why I asked is because when I was a senior, I didn't take a traditional English course. I was an English major in college, but my teacher at the time, Mr. Budd, who's now, is he now a superintendent? He was my English teacher at the time, and he selected me to, it was like a seminar, but I was editor of the school paper at the time, the Tomahawk. And so things like this, I'm glad we're going back to this. I like them having just a little more skin in the game, something that they actually want to do. So it's a full circle moment for me when I was reading through this. I really like it.
Any other comments on the first 6 pages?
I would just say, I'm sorry.
Ms. Cantor?
Thank you. On the medical terminology, I think that's great because so many people want to go into the medical field or just need the knowledge. And you don't even have to go into the medical field. You could just work for an insurance company and know the medical terminology to be able to process things.
It's a very popular course in other schools. This was one of the courses that was suggested to us when we met with our ECE director from UConn. So we now have the perfect educator in place to teach these courses. We are very, very lucky with a new hire. So I agree with you. I think it's going to be that matched with the EMT training course, I think is really exciting for our students. And some of our students have already heard about this as a possibility and are already asking how they can sign up for the course. So I think those will be really popular.
There's another town, one of my son's friends had moved to, and he's in the EMT course, and they have to respond during the day, during the school. So they get a lot of, they get experience with that, and they get the credit too. So it's really important.
This course, just the EMT training course, I know you didn't ask a question, but since we're on it, there's 2 benefits to the course, in my opinion. One is that students will get an actual EMT certification that they can use. So they have to be 16 to take the course because you cannot volunteer as an EMT without being 16. So if they get the certification and they're 16 and 17, they can volunteer in town, hopefully. And then once they turn 18, they can use their certificate as a job and be a certified EMT. Additionally, because the course is a course offered at UConn, they will also get UConn credit on a transcript for the course.
There were 2.
I think that's great for this.
There were 2 friends that we have. Their family, their children became EMTs in high school, and they became physicians.
Yep.
So just from that,
we're excited about it.
I know Mr. Lockhart and I had brought up a couple years ago, maybe going to long-range planning for the firefighting class, and Dr. Haiti, contacted another school district that was doing the firefighting class. She says, well, let's put it, why we don't need to wait for long-range planning. And we did say we had some interest too down the road of expanding to kind of real-life situations, again, such as medical response. So I think this is great, especially combining it with an ECE and the certification. So, great job. Anyone else on the first 6 pages?
Just
Mr. Panos.
On the social studies and history, notes here, right in the middle, it's of that, the yellow changes, you talk about the, removing the early global studies, and they said, and you're going to remove the modern, and you're going to substitute just a plain global studies, right? It's just a single course to cover both periods, right? No.
Yeah, it'll cover more of the modern, but it will cover some of the early, but not a lot because of then students getting that in middle school. Although just the right now the proposed breakdown for that course would give them a unit in, and it does move chronologically. So 1200 to 1450 is the first unit around trade, and then eventually they work into the 18 and 1900s and present. So it's a combination of different time periods and is also simultaneously thematic. So it does both the chronology and the themes. proposing that it does that, going through trade and global development, global societies, trials and tribulations in globalizing the world, and global conflict and roots of contemporary society. But this is all proposed, but that's what the outline of the class would look like. Yeah.
Well, I was interested also you had here for this. This also helps to avoid some of the lapses of information that some students have when entering the 10th grade, when they've chosen to take African American Latino versus
Just say perceived
early.
lapses. We actually went over this before the meeting today, and that word was left out. But the board had brought up that question, and so it was supposed to be addressed. It should have said perceived. But the perceived lapses that some have asked about if a student takes that, although we haven't been hearing that necessarily, but hoping that students, if that were the case, that we haven't been hearing about it, that they would have a little bit more way to segue into the course.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the page 7, starting with changes.
Sorry, can I ask one last thing here?
Yeah.
Global studies, it says starts at the year 1200. That's the
Modern
emphasis.
global.
Well, just global studies.
Oh.
Yes, that's the proposal is that it would be in at 1200 and would move, it would be about half of a year going through 1200 to around the 1800s. And then the second half of the year, 1800s to present, is how we've conceptualized the course.
Yeah, so it basically eliminates early global studies then. If you start at 1200?
No, because some of the early global studies included those time periods.
No, but like, okay, how do you even hit the things that happened before 1200, right? So like ancient Greece, the whole...
That's what we were saying in 6th and 7th, they spent 2 years on that, so.
Okay.
7th grade is, does ancient Egypt, ancient China, among others.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, questions on changes, starting on page 7. Anyone? That's good. Next is, the last section is deletions. Any questions on what's being deleted? Some of it's been answered already, like the early global and modern global there, so. Going once, going twice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very noisy page turner.
I know it was very exhaustive, but the program of studies is often. We have a motion on the floor to accept this as a first reading. All, Mr. Lockhart? Oh, okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Abstentions? Do we know about Mr. Nathan? Motion carries 8-1.
7.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Anthony. Can't count. Can't count you. Next item is committee reports. Any committee reports? Seeing and hearing none. Other matters, announcement, next Board of Ed meeting, regular meeting will be Tuesday, November 19th, 2024, right here in the boardroom. And one more go at audience to visitor. Oh, sorry. Other announcements first? Any announcements?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes, I was corrected. The Windsor High School Governance Council meeting is Monday, October 21st at 6:30.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Okay, next audience to visitor. Is there anybody online with their hand raised?
There are attendees online, but there are no hands raised.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to address the board? Seeing and hearing none, without objection, I'd like to close audience to visitor. Next item is school safety plans. Is there a motion?
Yes. I move to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing school safety plans. We invite Dr. Hill, Superintendent, Chief of Operations, Daniel Batchelder, and Safety and Security Officer, Kelvin Kears, into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Panos. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention? We know about Nathan. At this point, motion carries.
Moving? Oh, man.
First class, too.
I need 10-minute warning.
Motion carries 8-0.
I get all unpacked.
Across from.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Immediate cross.
for example. Maybe it's a great, you have some of course I'm talking English now. I'm moving to English. You know,
we would want in that building.